Kobold? Kobold. Kobold? Kobold. What even is a kobold anyway? And why do some of them look so much cuter than the others? Not that the ugly ones don't have their own kind of charm. But look at these little guys. Just look at him. Look at her. Look at it. Some kobolds are its. Bet you didn't know that, huh? But for real, what are these things, and why are they attempting to civilization? Well, these ones are, at least. The other ones are just staying in their caves. These kobolds seem to be taking a lot of notes from the dwarves in how they build their cities, though maybe with slightly different architectural priorities. Perhaps these modern kobolds are just the descendants of an ancient wild kobold who wandered into a dwarven fortress and said, "Hey, I could do that." At any rate, the average civilized kobold is a cheerful little lizard creature that tends to follow the work hard, play hard lifestyle to its logical conclusion. They value craft, and friendship, and violence. But above all else, they value trickery and cunning. Nothing in life satisfies more than an effective trap or a clever lie. Stealth, subterfuge, and sticky fingers. These are the highest ideals to which a kobold ascribes. Unless, of course, your name is Irsi and you think that's all a lot of hogwash. The friendship and the hard work and such, sure, Irsi's cool with that. But the misdirection and the lies, the tricks and the traps? Hogwash. Irsi would much rather take the direct approach and hit its problems really hard with a mace. Oh yeah, this is one of the it ones. It had grown tired of its life in the hillocks of dented shocked, surrounded by smug bastards talking out both sides of their gigantic mouths. It was filled with the insatiable urge to get up, walk out that door, and hit something really, really hard. It has heard the call of adventure. Irsi approached its clan leader, seeking direction on its newly declared quest. Hey, what needs bonking? Our people are being hunted by Kree, the leopard, who lives in the jungle of nobles. Great, thanks. Simple enough. Irsi and its dog Alstra would head north. It had a fair amount of gear and supplies, but it figured there was no harm in stopping by the nearby kobold fortress of Mischief Nest for some extra shinies. Except, where is Mischief Nest? Shouldn't it be? Did they hide it? Hogwash. It searched high and low for this supposed fortress, but it was no use. Irsi ended up wandering into the nearby foothills and happened upon a makeshift camp with a single dwarf. A lone, solitary, necromancer dwarf. Hello, dwarf. I am Irsi.
Hello, kobold. I am Îton.
What are you doing out here?
I have been exiled from my home of oil cloisters, banished to solitude in the wilds.
Oh, because of the necromancy?
Actually, I think it was the embezzling.
Of course. More trickery. Clearly the dwarf was not to be trusted, but maybe he could still prove useful. I am on a quest to slay a great beast that is hunting my people. Will you join me?
My duty is here.
What? Îton went on to explain how he had been following the trail of a stolen family artifact, Genatozon, a legendary steel warhammer. He had tracked the hammer to a small clan of wild kobolds living in a cave to the north. So if I get you the hammer, you'll be happy.
I'd be very happy, yes.
I don't suppose you want to join me.
My duty is here.
I thought so. Wild kobolds, huh? Irsi could show them just what it thought about all their silly traps. And maybe it could make a new friend out of this necromancer. Well, not friend. Contact, maybe. Irsi found the cave without much issue, even if the entrance was just a tiny hole in a hillside. Inside was a long tunnel that twisted down and around, and around, and around. But then the natural cave tunnel straightened out and started to look a little more intentional. Great. Weapon traps. No, wait, Alstra! Oh dear. Bringing a dog into these caves may have been unwise. Irsi could spot the traps before it became an issue, but it couldn't convey that information to poor Alstra. She kept up through the first few rooms, but there were just too many traps. Hogwash! The tunnels twisted down and looped back in a most infuriating manner. Irsi was about ready to give up when it saw a figure. Kobold. A bowman standing guard. A kobold? Oh. Hello. No response. Are we cool? Still nothing. In fact, Irsi would never get a response, since wild kobolds don't speak in anything more than the nonsense sounds they use for names and such. In fact, language is perhaps the single biggest differentiating factor between civilized kobolds and their wild cousins. In fact, Irsi knew all of this and was just talking to the kobold because it felt like the appropriate thing to do. I'm just gonna walk past you now. This almost worked. Irsi was just about to squeeze by when the kobold fired an arrow. It blocked and struck back with its flail, smashing apart the archer's hand. The kobold, to his credit, turned around and ran away as fast as he possibly could. Irsi gave chase. He caught up to the fleeing kobold and gave him a good whack. They both went down in a scramble, and the archer got another shot off. This time the arrow lodged deeply in Irsi's leg. Ow, you jerk! It didn't hold back. It struck the kobold as hard as it could until he finally stopped moving. Not that that improved Irsi's situation much. There was no use trying to walk with that arrow wound. So now it was in the enviable position of needing to crawl through all this miserable, twisting, trap-infested nonsense on the ground. Hogwash. But crawl it did. It crawled through countless weapon traps. It crawled by more silent kobolds, though none of them moved to stop it from exploring deeper. Soon Irsi was crawling by groups of kobolds in the tiny rooms that they had dug into the cavern walls. All the while, Irsi kept a close eye on each of the silent denizens of this cramped space. It assumed that the kobolds would be wielding all the shiny weapons that they had stolen, or wearing the gems and jewelry. Surely one of them would be holding the dwarf's hammer. But each passing figure was dressed in little more than rags, wielding the simplest of weapons. Many were unarmed entirely. Eventually, Irsi crawled into a chamber filled with eggs. Totally normal kobold stuff, it assumed, but then the tunnel straightened out and led to... Oh, nice. The shiny room. Clearly the kobolds ascribed to a more traditional treasure hoard model of wealth accumulation. If the dwarf's hammer was anywhere, it would be here. It searched the pile of loot meticulously, looking for any items that had unique names ascribed to them. You might reasonably ask how you know if a weapon has a name just by looking at it. I don't have a good answer for you. You just look at it. Strewn casually throughout the pile of gems and jewelry were 4 weapons of such craftsmanship, such perfection that they each bore a unique name of their own. Here is Srilim Salro Ami Raze, an iron scourge covered in sylvanite cabochons. Here is Robert Timnar Fulit Vush, a silver warhammer bearing an image depicting the election of a small-town mayor almost 50 years ago. Here is Stolnod Nob, an iron spear decorated with the bones of dragons and pandas. And here is Genetozon, a steel warhammer that menaced with spikes of onyx opal, the legendary family heirloom of the exiled Necromancer. Not to mention an excellent bonking stick, absolutely masterful. Not the exact kind of weapon that Irsi was used to, but never before had it wielded a weapon of such obsessive perfection. And Irsi was going to just give it away. Now all Irsi had to do was crawl all the way back out of this wretched cave, carrying 4 whole extra weapons plus 2 platinum rings because come on. Back past all the kobolds, back through all the traps, and finally back up to the surface. It was persistent. Once Irsi had actually escaped the cavern and took a gasp of fresh air, it immediately passed out on the grass. In the morning, it felt much better and could stand on its legs again. Hooray! So now it was just a short hike back to the Necromancer. Hello, dwarf. I have your hammer.
Hello, kobold! Wow, very good.
If I give you the hammer, we'll be friends, right?
Oh yes, very friendly.
Irsi looked around the makeshift camp. They wanted to make a fair deal of some kind, but the dwarf didn't have anything worth trading. Barely more than the clothes on his back. Okay, here you go. To new friendship.
I have recovered my family heirloom. I am so happy.
Great. Congratulations. Now do you want to join me on my quest?
My duty is here.
What? Îton went on to explain how he had been following the trail of a stolen family artifact, a bismuth bronze mace last seen in the dwarven fortress of Mountain Birth. Oh, come on!
Sorry, kobold.
If you're not going to come with me, can I at least have the hammer back?
What? No, of course not.
But it's really nice.
I know. Very fancy.
How about I just take it from you?
I'd like to see you try. After all, you did just arm me with a most exceptional weapon.
That's fine. I have more. Irsi lunged and attacked with his trusty flail, but the dwarf easily blocked and parried. They charged at each other, colliding and grappling and wrestling. Irsi landed a blow on Îton's hand and he dropped his shield. Then Îton charged and twisted Irsi's hand as they collided, knocking the flail from its hands. No matter. It grabbed the silver warhammer from his pack. Not quite as good as steel, but it was close. Especially when you're just trying to hit something really hard. Irsi was never really one to hold back, but especially not now. They tangled, they tussled, they bit, they bashed. Irsi finally hit the dwarf's other arm and broke it. Gnatozon fell to the ground. You must yield!
You first, coward!
Necromancers weren't known for going down easy. It occurred to Irsi that it was incredibly lucky that there weren't any dead bodies anywhere nearby. Otherwise, this wouldn't be such a fair fight. Irsi bashed the dwarf's foot and he fell to the ground. Then it just rained down hammer strikes until Îton's skull couldn't take it anymore. There. Good job. The hammer is yours to keep. Was it worth it? Can that hammer serve you as well as a befriended necromancer could have? Will you ever have an inkling as to what opportunities now lay closed to you? Well, time to complete my quest. Yeah, fair enough. It's too easy to get sidetracked in the wilderness. Irsi headed north, straight to the jungle of nobles where Kree the leopard was rumored to reside. It found the leopard. It killed the leopard. It probably should have just done that from the start. But then it wouldn't have found these 4 shiny weapons, each a masterpiece in their own right. And it could just head home at this point. Or maybe home would be fine. It's not like Irsi was going to get paid or rewarded for defeating the beast. Its home was safer now, and that's all that actually mattered. Plus, Irsi had heard of a new fortress, founded just a few years ago and not too far away. Maybe it would enjoy life in Leopardbends. I mean, it's in a freaking volcano for crying out loud. Irsi approached Shigas, the fort's caravan tactician, and told of how it had slain a necromancer in the wilderness. Nice. I see a lot of skeletons. Yeah, there was a lot of murder. Can I join the guard? Yes, you are now one of my guards. Great. Of course, one of the guards turned out to be a bit of an exaggeration. Wait, it's just us? Yep. After all, the entire fortress only had 11 residents, now including Irsi. 2 dedicated soldiers was downright excessive, considering how many bodies still needed hauling to the burial nooks. There had already been a couple ghost sightings. Fortunately, Leopardbends didn't need much defending those days. A wild kobold wandered by, but ran immediately when spotted. Honestly, the biggest deal was the giraffes in the hospital. Oh, and when the volcano did a little hiccup and burned down half the mountain. But even then, everyone just ran inside for a bit, and it was fine. The rest of the fortress, however, kept quite busy. They dug out bedrooms, and a dedicated tunnel for trade caravans. They dug out space for a swanky citizens-only tavern deeper underground, but they hit soil before long, so they'll have to pave the whole room with stone blocks to make it nice. New migrants started to arrive as well. By the end of the year, Leopardbends was home to nearly 50 souls, each ever more hopeful for the future. That winter, the caravan tactician Shigas was replaced by Irsi. Not our Irsi, though. A different one, spelled with a Y. This was presumably fine with our Irsi, though. It enjoyed a good bonking as much as the next bold, but really what it wanted was to create great art. There was still a lot that needed doing, and Irsi was happy to chip in. But maybe if they all pulled together and worked hard and kept each other's backs, they could carve out something like a peaceful existence within the heart of this belligerent bluff. Maybe then there would be a chance to learn something new and to make this a more beautiful place. Maybe then it would finally be home. Thank you for watching, and a big thank you to Radu for voicing Îton the Necromancer in this episode. He also streams Dwarf Fortress, among other things, and I put some links down below where you can find him. You may have noticed that there weren't any ads or sponsors in this video. In exchange, all I ask is that you have a lovely day, and maybe click some buttons.